These are this afternoon's top stories. Honorable Eugene Hamilton to host a series of town hall meetings this week. Barbados may soon become a republic, and Singapore's founding father has passed away at age 91. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Today is Monday, 23rd March, 2015. I am JD Keynes. Now for a look at the news in detail. It has been just over 1 month since the Honorable Eugene Hamilton was elected to represent the people of Constituency 8, and he is already prepared to give an account of his stewardship. Mr. Hamilton serves as Minister of Agriculture, Health, National Health Insurance, Human Settlement, Community Development, Gender Affairs, Social Services, Cooperatives, and Land. This week, 4 meetings are scheduled in Constituency 8, with the first planned for tonight, March 23rd. The meeting will be held at the Keys Community Center. Other meetings will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. The Charles E. Mills Secondary School successfully defended its inter-school championship title after outclassing 11 other competing schools over the last 3 days. After leading the competition in gold medals the first 2 days, the Eagles continued their dominance on the final day on Sunday to finish with 30 gold, 22 silver, and 23 bronze for a total of 75 medals. The Charles E. Mills Secondary School finished with 13 more gold medals than its closest competitor, the Washington Archibald High School. The Wildcats had a total of 17 gold, 18 silver, and 13 bronze medals. In third place was the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, which recorded several strong performances on the final day. CFBC ended with 11 gold, 5 silver, and 4 bronze medals. St. Kitts and Nevis joined the rest of the world in celebrating World Water Day on Sunday, March 22nd, although locally a week of activities has been planned. World Water Day is being commemorated under the theme Water and Sustainable Development. The worldwide observance is being spearheaded by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. We turn our attention now to news across the region. Barbados is to become a republic with its own local head of state. The intention to replace the monarchical system of government was declared by Barbados' Prime Minister Fundell Stewart during a meeting on Sunday night.
As we approach the 50th anniversary of independence, as I said, we have to ask ourselves some questions. We decolonized our politics, 1966. In the early 2000s, we decolonized our jurisprudence by delinking from the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council and signing on to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And the next step has to be the transition from a monarchical system of government to a republican system of government.
With big, bold adjustments announced to Cuba's tightly state-run economy and a loosening of economic relations, ordinary Cubans are watching and waiting for change. But despite the headlines, those changes come slowly. Nowhere is that more evident than in advertising, an industry traditionally reviled by the Cuban authorities as representing the worst of capitalist excesses.
With no advertising, no classified ads in the newspapers, there's only one way that Cubans can sell that surplus toaster or house in the wrong neighborhood. They phone David, and he passes the message to Maria Arcelia and Ali, who transmit the information over the Radio Coco airwaves.
We have people who have lost their dogs or left their documents on the bus, or someone in the family needs medicine or is lost.
Radio Coco repeats the ads in several programs, supplying a social service to the Greater Havana area. This in a country almost bereft of the brash, colourful advertising that to Cuba's communist government represents the kind of market economy they've been resisting for more than 50 years. Cubans can buy pretty much the same products as anybody else, but what you won't see here is advertising for things like running shoes and soft drinks. Instead, there's plenty of promotion of ideas, with posters like this one urging the Cuban people to defend the values of their country. Others extol the virtues of the revolution or criticize Cuba's enemies, usually the United States. But the government is now trying to encourage foreign investment and allow small private businesses to flourish. Italian Raul Ortolani prowls the streets and this trade fair to promote his restaurant.
It'd
be great to put a huge publicity poster in the main street in Havana with the name of our restaurant on it. The day they allow advertising in the newspapers and on television, I'll be ready.
Although not exactly New York's Times Square or Piccadilly Circus in London, more flashing advertising lights are appearing in Havana, and greater competition, especially in the city's nightlife, has seen the introduction of subtle forms of advertising not seen here before.
Advertising is starting in a very low-key way. Restaurants have signs and stickers. We're not talking about big posters that you'll see in places like China, which is too much, but we wouldn't be shocked to see them here one day.
With the economy opening up, if a little cautiously, Cuban shoppers, if they choose to and can afford it, may now in some places experience the same advertising razzle-dazzle as the rest of the world. And while the internet here is both sparse and precarious, web designers are poised for a future with much more for sale. Daniel Schweimler, Al Jazeera, Havana.
Internationally, Singapore's founding father, Lee Kuan Yew, has died at age 91. Nicole Johnson looks back at his life and legacy.
Without Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore as the world knows it may have never existed. Born in 1923, the fourth generation Chinese Singaporean saw his homeland occupied, first by the British and then the Japanese. After training as a lawyer in Britain, he became Prime Minister in 1959, a post he would hold for 31 years. Despite a ruthless style of politics, Lee was no independence leader. Singapore became independent against its will, kicked out of Malaysia in 1965 against a backdrop of racial tension. At the time, a fearful Lee contemplated a bleak future.
You know, it's a people connected by geography, economics, and ties of kinship. Would you mind if we stop for a while?
Sentiment gave way to pragmatism. He was unflinching in his determination to bring prosperity to his new country. Under his leadership, Singapore was transformed from a tiny, impoverished island with no natural resources into a high-tech metropolis. But Lee's strong leadership also had a darker side. Political opponents often found themselves in court. Some ended up bankrupt. Freedoms were micromanaged, along with the economy. Famous bans like those on chewing gum were only recently relaxed. Lee's People's Action Party was returned to power again and again, with his oldest son now Prime Minister. Even after stepping down, Lee kept working in an annex of the Prime Minister's office, in vaguely titled roles of Senior Minister and Minister Mentor. Through it all, he was unrepentant.
If I ran a Western-style democracy and took a straw poll and went according to the poll, we would have come to grief.
While freedoms were sacrificed, Lee repaid his people with an economic miracle, sealing a legacy as one of the 20th century's most important leaders.
Police have arrested more than 200 protesters after they temporarily blocked a major highway leading to the United States. Mexican farm workers in Baja, California are protesting low wages and poor working conditions.
These are just some of the thousands of farm workers who are on strike in the valley of San Quintin in the northern state of Baja California. This region and the huge farms in it export millions of tons of fruit and vegetable to the US, and these are the workers that pick that fruit and vegetable. But they say that their salaries haven't increased for years and that they often work in miserable conditions.
All the prices of everything in the shops have gone up, and the salary isn't enough to pay for things. We get $7 a day. The producers sell the products in dollars, but we're earning in pesos, and that's why we're protesting. We want a rise in our wages.
Sometimes the supervisors molest the women, and if the woman says no, then they fire her.
Not all of the farm workers in the region are on strike. Some are still working out in the fields, and producers here argue that it's possible for them to earn a decent living doing that. But the reality is that it's harvest season right now, and without these workers picking the crops, those are being lost and valuable profits with them. So it's in the interest not just of these farm workers, but also of producers to bring this dispute to a close sooner rather than later.
And now in our weather for today, conditions will be sunny to partly sunny. The chance of any showers will remain low. Tonight, conditions will be fair to partly cloudy with a low chance of showers. Winds will blow from the east at 9 to 14 miles per hour over land and peaking to near 16 miles per hour over coastal waters. Seas will be slight to moderate with waves of 1.2 to 1.5 meters or 4 to 5 feet. The weather brings us to the end of ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Have a great day.